Derek Brunson fought Anderson Silva back in February of this year, at UFC 208. Brunson would go on to lose the fight by controversial unanimous decision. However, the controversies didn't stop at the questionable decision. Brunson also claims Silva was greasing during the fight. The Wilmington, North Carolina native posted about it on Twitter a few days ago. Just make sure you don't put cooking oil all over your body like Anderson did, so it'll be easy to grab a hold of you. At Lyoto Machida signed, Derek Brunson. At Derek Brunson, October 17, 2017. Speaking with MMA Latest, Brunson explained why he believes Silva was greasing during the fight. Anderson was definitely a little lubed up. Every time I grabbed him he was just slipping out of everything, and his takedown defense was really good that night. I was definitely curious to know why he was very slippery, which I definitely think he had some kind of substance on his body. He knows I'm a wrestler. Obviously, he's an old, savvy veteran, so he was definitely trying to play all the rules and be very strategic, and make it harder for a wrestler to grab him. Brunson is set to face Lyoto Machida come October 28. When asked about whether he was worried about Machida greasing, considering Gegard Mousasi accused him of doing so in their fight, Brunson admitted he wasn't too worried. Well, I'm not too worried, but like I said, I put it out there because I know they're friends, and I know, obviously, that's kind of what the guys do when they know they're fighting a wrestler. They want to lube their body up really good to make it hard to grab hold. Anderson did a great job defending my takedowns. It's because he was all greased up, so he was able to stop a lot of them. When I grab guys in the clinch, it's very tough for them to get away, and I'm pretty good with my Greco takedown. He was pretty much pulling through my clinch when I had a tight grip on him, and if you have some kind of substance on your body it's easy to pull them. Neither Silva nor his management have commented on the greasing allegations. Anderson Silva makes his return against Kelvin Gastelum later this year, in China, while Brunson makes his return to the octagon on October 28, in Brazil, where he looks to add Lyoto Machida's name to his impressive list of victories. MMA Latest spoke to Bellator's Michael Venom Page, as he makes his boxing debut this Friday at the Haymaker Ring Star Fight Night. Page 120 MMA is renowned for his entertaining fight style inside the cage, with most of his knockout and submission victories ending up in highlight reels online, that almost always go viral. MVP was supposed to make his boxing debut on the undercard of David Haye vs Tony Bellew in March of this year, but due to ongoing negotiations with Bellator, his debut was delayed. Shortly after Page signed with Hayes' promotion Haymaker Ring Star, QSO, Michael, we're about 5 days out now from your big boxing debut, and still we have no name of an opponent. Can you break the big news? Who will you be fighting next week? I honestly couldn't even tell you his name right now. I know I've got an opponent, but I haven't even looked at him because it has changed so many times. I don't like to pay too much attention to it because it's added stress. For me it's just a case of turning up and firing punches at whoever is across the ring. Is this fight 10 or 12 rounds? Given a standard boxing fight is a lot longer than your typical 15-minute MMA bout, has there been an emphasis on cardiovascular work in your training camp? Depending on the opponent, I think it's 6 rounds. The preparation has been different. I'm having to stress out my shoulders and core a lot. The kicking distance as well is very different, getting used to having people a bit closer. I'm getting used to the corners of the ring. I've done it before but not to this extent, so I am familiar of it, but my body wasn't really used to it. So, is this kind of like a one-fight deal for Hayes' Ring Star promotion? Regardless of this fight's outcome, will you return to MMA at all? I'm taking it seriously. Otherwise, I would have just had a super fight against a big name like McGregor did. This is why I can't just jump into a 12-round fight. I need to adjust my body and get it prepared for boxing. There's no future plans yet. I'd like to have an MMA fight again before the end of this year, as I haven't fought this whole year, but another opportunity for boxing may come up and I might get a chance to jump on that, so it depends. Were you frustrated that Bellator booked Paul Daly vs. Lorenz Larkin, and if you could send a message to Daly right now, what would it be? I have no interest in him anymore. It feels so pathetic and unnecessary now. I don't think he deserved that fight with Larkin right after the shocking display he put on in Wembley against Rory MacDonald. But good on him, he beat Larkin. However, he calls me out immediately after, then goes on to say he's past that fight. It just doesn't make sense. Credit, Michael Pidge MVP, Instagram QA statement. We hear a lot as MVP is the only guy outside the UFC that I want in the UFC. People criticize the talent in Bellator and say you're fighting nobodies. What do you say back to them? The amount of times you hear you shouldn't fight this person, you should have fought that person. Everyone's got an idea of what the correct steps someone should make are, but at the end of the day it's their career. People are so fickle and easy to forget. If you are a fan of somebody, just be a fan of them regardless of win or loss. I've got to ask about how things are with Bellator, because from the outside looking in it's quite unclear. How is it relationship at the moment? Yeah, I get on with most of the guys, it's like a small family. I've still got a couple of fights left with them, they're growing very well, the only problem is I feel like they're focusing a bit too much on ex-UFC fighters. For me it says you're classing yourself as second best. Bellator generates some amazing superstars and young talent, they should continue to promote them. You can watch MVP make his boxing debut this Friday night, as the Haymaker Ringstar Fight Night will air at 2:10 p.m. on Dave. We spoke to the recently crowned BAMMA welterweight champion Alex Lohore, as he prepares to defend his title against Richard Keeley at BAMMA 32 in Dublin. Lohore 131 won the vacant BAMMA welterweight title last month at BAMMA 31 in London. Fighting his longtime rival Nathan Jones on the night, Lohore knocked out Mr. Bagtag with a knee in the first round. Obviously the rivalry between you and Jones had been going on for years, but you finished it in brutal fashion. Did you speak to him after the fight? Yeah, I did have a chat with him. I was telling him that it was a great fight and we should train together sometime, but he wasn't really keen on it. I guess he was still a bit sore about the defeat. In the cage after your win, you called out Richard Keeley, now you're fighting him. Are you happy you got the opponent you asked for? Everyone keeps saying I called him out, I didn't call him out, he called me out, I didn't even address his name, I said this Irish kid has been running his mouth, we're going to go out there and shut him up. I didn't even know who he was. He's been mentioning my name and talking a lot of rubbish on my social media, disturbing me and my fans. The finish against Jones was picture perfect. From the elbow, to the right hand, to the knee, was it the best of your career? Yeah, I think it is, by far it was perfect technique. I knew as he was going back he would try to duck in for the takedown. Because I was throwing the head kick anyway, all I needed to do was just switch it to a knee. I couldn't ask for any better. Another new champion BAMMA London MMA pic.twitter.com Wick 7 Kid BAMMA at BAMMA September 15, 2017 Given it's in Dublin and Richard is Irish, how do you feel about going into enemy territory at BAMMA 32? That's great, that's why I'm doing it, I need to be comfortable in every environment, so going out there will test. I wanted to be on the Dublin card, now I can teach him a little lesson too, I can't wait. As you know, the Geordie Shore star Aaron Chalmers has brought a lot of attention to BAMMA recently. What are your thoughts on him? He's good man. For someone who doesn't come from a fighting background and does reality TV stuff, he's doing good. How can people say he should fight someone more experienced because he is taking guys that are on his level and he's doing good? He's helping MMA fighters because he has got a big following, so more people are going to be watching MMA and learning about MMA, so it's a good thing having him on board. Opponent announced in the next few weeks. The team has asked BAMMA for an opponent with pro wins tickets. https://.co.lb5bqvxpic.twitter.com His kits are 8K6Z. Aaron Chalmers at Aaron's Shore October 6, 2017 BAMMA 32 will take place at the 3 Arena in Dublin on November 10. Tickets are now on sale at ticketmaster.ie. The card will air live on both UNILAD's Facebook page and Dave. Former Bellator welterweight champion Andre Koreshkov is coming off of an interesting past 2 years. In 2015 he beat current welterweight champion Douglas Lima, via a dominant unanimous decision, in order to win the welterweight title. He returned in 2016 and beat former UFC lightweight champion Benson Henderson via another dominant beatdown. It seemed like Koreshkov was going to be the champion for a very long time, making elite fighters look like they had no business being in the cage with him. Koreshkov's world came crashing down one night in Israel. The Russian was beating Douglas Lima in a rematch. He was up 2018 on the scorecards, and it seemed like he was going to walk away with another successful title defense. Koreshkov forced Lima's back against the fence and started winging punches at him. Lima started to do the same as he looked to get off the fence, and then it happened. A huge left hook caught Koreshkov on the chin and it was lights out. Lima was once again champion, and Koreshkov's reign was cut short. What was next for Koreshkov after losing the title? Perhaps a move to middleweight. Bellator's middleweight division has fewer contenders than the welterweight division and could promise a quicker path to the title for the Russian. Koreshkov is a big welterweight, standing at 61, he certainly wouldn't be small in the higher weight class. Speaking to MMA Latest, Koreshkov was quick to shut down the idea of moving up. No, I work hard at welterweight and I'd like to stay there." Sticking with welterweight, Koreshkov knew it was going to be tough to get another title shot after his fight with Chidi Njokuani, but he seems to know the key to fighting for the title. "It's not about how many wins, but rather, the quality of my wins." With that in mind, he promised the game plan against Njokuani was to stand and bang. Koreshkov fulfilled his promise. Against Njokuani he came out guns blazing, giving Njokuani all he could handle on the feet before eventually taking him down and finishing him with some nasty ground and pound. Koreshkov also got the chance to explain who he'd like to fight next, should he not get a title shot. "I don't have any favorites. I know that there are a lot of tough fights at my weight class, but if I had to choose, I would say Rory MacDonald." Unfortunately for Koreshkov, MacDonald is booked against his former opponent Douglas Lima, as the two are set to fight for the Bellator welterweight title in January. A fight against MacDonald would promise fireworks, as the two are known for their ruthless style. There's a strong chance Koreshkov may get his chance against MacDonald next, as the former champion is certainly either next in line for the shot, or set to fight the loser.